This is priority, and whoever holds on to this can add on to the stack as many spells or abilities as they want. But also very importantly, whoever is not holding priority cannot add on to the stack. Priority is always first given to the players whose turn it currently is. For this example, we'll say it's player 2. And then it's passed in active player, non-active player order, which is just a fancy word for turn order. But let's go back to the active player. Like I mentioned before, the player who's holding priority can add as many spells or abilities to the stack before they pass it. Those spells and abilities will wait there until everyone has passed priority without adding anything to the stack. Once everyone passes without adding anything, we resolve the last thing that was put on the stack. Let's go back again real quick. Active player has added what they want to the stack and has passed priority. And then once they pass it, they can't add anything to the stack until they're holding priority once again. Now, if a player is holding priority, they're not forced to add anything to the stack. So if they don't want to do anything, they can just pass it. But once a player takes any action, it resets priority. So now we won't have anything resolving from the stack until it gets back to the player who last added onto the stack. But rather than that player gaining priority again, we resolve the last thing put on the stack immediately. And then anytime something resolves, active player gains priority again. So now that player 2 is the last one to have something put onto the stack, once the priority gets back to them, we resolve the last thing put on the stack immediately. I want to specify that when priority comes back to them, they don't gain priority again. They have to resolve the last thing that was put on the stack first. Once that is resolved, then they gain priority again, and then they can add more things onto the stack, which players are allowed to add on to the stack after some things have resolved. But we'll repeat this process until nobody wants to add anything to the stack and there's nothing left to resolve. Once we get to this point, the active player gains priority again. But if everyone passes their priority without adding anything to the stack, then we move on to the next step or phase of the game. And then again, the active player gains priority and we start over the whole process.